How are we all doing today? My name is David Eugenia, and today's book review, I got another re-review. I do have another re-review next week, but next week's book is something that I've reread, so it should be easier to find stuff. And not only that, but I might be able to speak more to you on what I learned about life, what I learned about goals, pay attention to that, goals, and just what I've learned about living. Now, this author makes some interesting stuff and has a very interesting view on life. And he has written my favorite book that I've read out of all the self-betterment stuff I've read, but this is like the sequel to it. Everything is Freed, a book about hope by Mark Manson. Now, Mark Manson, like I mentioned before, has a blog that is probably one of the most viewed or most read blogs in all of New York, and he makes money blogging and doing some vlogging and motivational speaking. But he is a New York Times International best-selling author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Frig. His blog, markmanson.net, attracts more than 2 million readers per month. Manson lives in New York City. 2 million readers per month. Imagine that. You have 2 million people reading your stuff. That's crazy. But now, with his usual mix of erudition and humor, Manson challenges us to be more honest with ourselves, openly defying our definitions of faith, happiness, freedom, and even hope. Even of hope itself. One of the great modern writers has produced another book that will set the agenda for years to come. Now, he is a very interesting author, but we're going to dive into the book here, and honestly, yeah, the things we think about every day, being honest with ourselves, our faith, our happiness, our freedom, and even our hope. Now, something that we have talked about on this channel is about control. So listen to what Mark Manson has to say about control. Listen to this. Now, but here's what you do have. Thinking brain. You may not have self-control, but you do have meaning control. This is your superpower. This is your gift. You get to control the meaning of your impulses and feelings. You get to decipher them however you see fit. You get to draw the map. And this is incredibly powerful because it's the meaning that we ascribe to our feelings that can often alter how the feeling brain reacts to them. And this is how you produce hope. This is how you produce a sense that the future can be fruitful and pleasant. But the feeling brain slings at you in a profound and useful way. Instead of justifying and enslaving yourself to the impulses, challenge them and analyze them. Change their character and their shape. This is basically what good therapy is. Of course, self-acceptance and emotional intelligence and all that, actually this whole teach your thinking brain to decipher and cooperate with your feeling brain. Instead of judging him and thinking he's an evil piece of SHIT, is the basis of CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, and ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, and a lot of fun other acronyms that clinical psychologists invented to make our lives better. Our crises of hope often start with a basic sense that we do not have control over ourselves or our destiny. We feel victims to the world around us, or worse, to our own minds. We fight our feeling brain trying to beat it into submission, or we do the opposite and follow it mindlessly. We ridicule ourselves and hide from the world because of the classic assumption, and in many ways the affluence and connectivity of the modern world only make the pain of the illusion of self-control that much worse. So, do you ever think about that when it comes to control? You get to control the meaning of your impulses and feelings. Imagine saying that to a serial criminal or psychopath. You get to control the meaning of your impulses and feelings. We do have a meaning of control. So, for example, when you're dealing with that mean coworker and you want to hit him in the face, you can think about it, but you have control as to why you want to hit him in the face, and you have control over your feelings for him, and you have control on not throwing that punch. Because when people say, I love the excuse, oh, I just snapped. Nope. You were thinking about it. You were thinking about it beforehand, you were thinking about it after, and you were probably thinking about the start of the day. If he does something to make me angry, I'm going to hit him in the face. Now, control over our lives and with our feeling brain and thinking brain, I won't dive into that, but it talks about it in the book. We try to beat our feeling brains or the way we feel try to beat it into submission or just follow it mindlessly. Now, when it comes to hope and doing well in life, sometimes you do not have to listen to your mind. You can easily do something as it's like with working really hard and you feel lazy and want to sleep all day. You do not have to listen to your mind. See, the pain and the illusion of self-control can be worse. But, and in many ways, the affluence and connectivity of the modern world is better, and we ridicule ourselves and hide from the world because of the classic assumption. So really think about that. Now, religion can be a very complicated and very touchy topic. Now, why, you may ask? Because insulting other religions can really make people mad. Talking about other religions is a personal thing. And talking about a religion is just a hard topic to bring up. And it's just like, it's honestly something you wonder why people have religions. You wonder why people don't believe in God. You wonder why people even hate God. You wonder why people even don't bother to learn about maybe an unseen world or an unseen force that controls us, or they don't want to learn anything because they believe they're, like I've said before on this channel, the center of their own universe. But listen to what Mark Manson has to say about religions. Listen to this. Spiritual religions are also powerful because they often encourage hope through death, which has the nice side effect of making a lot of people willing to die for their unverifiable beliefs. Hard to compete with that. Ideological religions generate hope by constructing networks of beliefs that certain actions will produce better outcomes in this life. And if they are adopted by the population at large, ideologies are usually isms. Libertarianism, nationalism, materialism, racism, Marxism, veganism, communism, capitalism, socialism, fascism, cynicism, skepticism. Unlike spiritual religions, ideologies are verifiable to varying degrees. You can theoretically test to see whether a central bank makes a financial system more or less stable, whether democracy makes society fairer, whether education makes people hack one another to pieces less often. But at a certain point, most ideologies will still rely on faith. There are two reasons for this. The first is that some things are just incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to test and verify. The other is that a lot of ideologies rely upon everyone in society having faith in the same thing. For instance, you can't scientifically prove that money is intrinsically valuable. But we all believe it is, so it is. You also can't prove that national citizenship is a real thing, or even that most ethnicities exist. These are all the socially constructed beliefs that we've all bought into, taken on faith. The problem with evidence and ideologies is that humans have a tendency to take a little bit of evidence and run with it, generalizing a couple of simple ideas to entire populations on the planet. This is our human narcissism at work, our need to invent our self-importance, our feeling brain run amok. So even though ideologies are subject to evidence and verification, we're not exactly good at verifying them. Humanity is so vast and complex that our brains have trouble taking it all in. There are too many variables, so our thinking brains inevitably take shortcuts to maintain some otherwise crappy beliefs. Bad ideologies such as racism or sexism persist due to ignorance far more than malice, and people hold on to those bad ideologies because, sadly, they offer their adherents some degree of hope. You ever think about that? People hate having hope. People hate relying on hope. People believe that hope is not reality. I love honestly what he says here. We take shortcuts to maintain some crappy beliefs, like beliefs that we control the outcomes that we do. Beliefs as in, let me see here. Crappy beliefs as in we believe we're the center of our own universe and everything goes through us. That's not how it works. It's like being kind to people. Who taught you to be kind? My parents. Who taught them before that? My grandparents. And before that, and as years and years ago, God's whole message is about being kind to others. And I think they call it the golden rule. Treat others as to how you'd want to be treated. And God, like those stories in the Bible, has tested people and has tested their kindness, but he shows you be kind to everybody. No matter who they are, you be kind to everybody. And I do love how he says here about self-importance and our feeling brain. Like, human narcissism is always at work. You may not think about it, but there are narcissists everywhere. Narcissists, as in, they will talk about themselves all day long. You could be having a conversation and they will brag about their financial accomplishments as in things they bought, brag about their job, brag about their fitness in the gym, brag about what ladies they've been with. Like, and you'll meet people like that, and you might call them bull crappers, is what we'll call them. And you might think, why do they act like that? Because that's what they believe in. They believe in themselves. They believe they control everything around them, when in reality, they don't. And they believe they don't need to have hope. They believe life is perfect. But in reality, it's not. And I don't care who you are. I heard this in church this morning. Everyone is fighting some kind of battle. You don't know what it is, but everyone is fighting some kind of battle. And I love what it says here. The problem with evidence and ideologies is that humans have a tendency to take a little bit of evidence and run with it. They just take a little bit, they don't review it, and they just run with it. So think about that. The third and final section that we have here is about, basically, oddly enough, hope. Now, when it comes to hope, do you ever have hope? Do you ever hope you have a good day at work? Do you ever hope that you're going to get weights in the gym, like heavy weights? Better yet, hope that you're going to go to the gym or do something different with your life. Now, I will say this though, whether you like it or not, when it comes to hope, a lot of people don't have it because of either, like what we just have read, not having religion, or believe they can't control their own emotions and their feelings. And the reason that hope leaves is because usually there's no guidance, but also they just don't want to believe anything. They don't want to have control. And a big reason why people don't want to do different things in their life is they'll have all these excuses, but the real main reason is because they simply don't want to. Because anything is possible in life. I don't care what it is. And the excuse that is unreal and the one I hear the most is, I don't have time. Now, if you're working 100 hours a week, that is no time. That is 100 hours a week. If you're working 60 hours a week, that's a lot of hours, but you have time to work out. You have time to go on dates with girls. You have time to do something different. Because when it comes to having time, I mean, you use your time for things you want to do in life and to pay your bills. But you carve in that little amount of time to either do something fun or to work on yourself. But you might think, well, why don't people have hope or want to pursue anything with hope? They just don't believe anything. They just simply do not believe in anything. And that's a sad life. If you do not believe you're living for somebody or even working for somebody, it's a sad life because everything revolves around you. Like, that you don't care about anybody, you don't care about who comes and goes in your life, you just simply don't care about anyone, and you only care about yourself. People who don't have hope are very selfish people. I say very. People who don't have hope are selfish people. People who don't have hope are like at a dead end with believe. Keep in mind, believe they're at a dead end with their lives. But listen to what he has to say here about hope. Just listen to this. Therefore, it is the conflict that maintains the hope. So we've got it backward. Everything being frigged doesn't require hope. Hope requires everything being frigged. The sources of hope that give our lives a sense of meaning are the same sources of division and hate. The hope that brings the most joy to our lives is the same hope that brings the greatest danger. The hope that brings people closest together is often the same hope that tears them apart. Hope is therefore destructive. Hope depends on the rejection of what currently is. Because hope requires that something be broken, hope requires that we a part of ourselves and or part of the world. It requires us to be anti-something. This paints an unbelievably bleak picture of the human condition. It means that our psychological makeup is such that our only choices in life are either perpetual conflict or nihilism, tribalism or isolation, religious war or the uncomfortable truth. Nietzsche believed that none of the ideologies generated by the science revolution would hold up in the long run. He believed that one by one they would slowly kill each other off and or collapse from within. Then after a couple of centuries a real existential crisis would begin. Master morality would have been corrupted. Slave morality would have been imploded. we would have failed ourselves, for human frailties are such that everything you produce must be impermanent and unreliable. And we won't, that's just about Nizam. Listen to what he says here. Everything being free doesn't require hope. Hope requires everything being free. That means when your life goes to dead end, that's when you develop hope. See, that's why you need to develop hope early. You hope you have a good day at work. When you have a bad day at work, that's when you don't, hey, I'm going to hope that I have a good day at work and then I still have a job. Oh, no. And the reason you keep hope is because our Lord and Savior wants you to have hope, and the people around you want you to have hope. They want you to be positive. They want you to encourage other people. And why? Notice I say why a lot, because there's a why to everything. Because it will make others happy and it will make you happy. Now, the hope that brings people closest together is often the same hope that tears them apart. That's a very deep saying, but really think about that. And now, what does that mean? Well, the same thing like, I hope I have a good day at work, and then you have a bad day. Well, I hope I have a good day. I hope my family and I get along. Well, you don't. Well, you know what? I hope my family and I get along. Or let's say you and your family split apart for not getting along. Well, I hope we can come back together. Because no matter how much you hope, the hope is there, but sometimes hoping can be dangerous, to be a very dangerous mindset. Now, the hope that brings people closest together is often the same hope that tears them apart. Hope is therefore destructive. Hope depends on the rejection of what currently is. Something bad has to happen in your family in order to have more hope. So really think about that. Now, I'm going to close out this book review. I want to thank you all for watching. I say close out. And the lesson for today, not the lesson for today, but the takeaway for this video is have hope today. Hope for something good, and develop hope before anything bad happens in your life. And bad as in like you show up late to work. Bad because you didn't get something done or something small. But have hope today. This is a very good book. It's a very interesting book, and I want you all to read it. I want you all to really think about the deep things I've talked about. Some of it might have been too deep, and some of it might have been all over the place. But I want to thank you all for watching, and you all have a great day. And I hope you all work hard today.